Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Red Sox Roundup. We are now speaking from CAT studios in Wakefield, Massachusetts. It's Thursday, the day before, October 3rd, the day before the Red Sox open the series with the Tampa Rays. My name is Frank Fiorentino. I'm here with my co-host, Dick Reedy. And Dick, we had a wonderful season this year.
We sure did. Pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting. It was exciting this year as it was disappointing 2 years ago. So
sure.
It looks like we're going to have an exciting playoff series here, Sox. But before we get into that, I think we want to sort of divide this program up into two different segments. We want to talk a little bit about what's transpired during the season and the surprises that we've had, and the play of the Red Sox in general and their manager.
Sure.
And then I think we want to spend a few minutes in the middle or towards the end of the program on the playoffs, because tomorrow, on Friday, the Red Sox open up against the Tampa Bay Rays. We are all a little disappointed, I think, Dick, that we are not seeing Terry Francona with his Cleveland Indians. But just a comment on that, Dick, before we get into the season. The Cleveland Indians did very well to get where they did. But the Cleveland Indians did not play well against 500 baseball teams this year. They lost 9 games and won 35 against 3 teams. Houston, Minnesota, and Chicago White Sox counted for 35 wins, which is, they were the 3 worst teams in baseball.
Yeah, they were.
And so, but you have to give him credit. Francona came with a team that didn't have any on it, really. And he did a wonderful job with that team. And even last night, they had a chance to score some runs in a couple of innings there, but they just couldn't do it. So the better team won. The Rays are a better team.
No question about it.
There's
Cleveland
no question
was not
about
that good, and,
right.
And they did greater than their expectations, and it showed in the end.
It showed in the end. Let's just look at the Red Sox season here in terms of where they were. They finished at first, obviously. They won more games than any team in the American League. One game their 2007 season when they won 98. And so they had a wonderful season, really. They did.
And let's explain to the audience, by having the best record, they have the
Right.
advantage in the playoffs.
By having the best record, they have advantage in the playoffs. They have the home field advantage,
Right, yeah.
meaning that the odd game would be played at Fenway Park.
Mhm.
The best of 5 would be played at Fenway, the 5th game. And if it went to the next series, the best of 7 would be played. The 7th game would be played at Fenway. And in the World Series, because the American All-Star game this year. So the American League has 4 home games.
Sure, that's perfect.
So this is as good as it gets if we can win. Let's just talk about the Red Sox in terms of generally what happened this year. I think we had some surprises on this team, Dick, and you might want to talk a little bit about what you saw there.
Actually, I thought that Stephen Drew.
J.D. Drew is gone, Dick.
Yeah, he's gone, yeah. Stephen Drew, he performed much better than I thought. He's got some power, which was pretty well demonstrated during the year. Some key hits, which I thought was terrific. Mike Napoli, big power hitter, but struck out a lot. But, man, when he hit for power, when he was on the streak, he was tremendous. I was impressed with Daniel Nava.
Very much so.
And for a guy here, I liked him as a player always, but I didn't think he was going to come through. And my gosh, he was outstanding during the year, very consistent. Plus the fact he was an outstanding outfielder.
Yes.
Great defensive outfielder.
Very, very good on the defense. And the guy they picked up from the Seattle Mariners, who came off the bench this year and did very well for them. He was a part-time player. And some of you probably never heard of his name. And the bottom line is, I think that's a good little quiz for everybody in terms of, Mike Cobb is the guy that came from Seattle.
Right.
And he hit a couple of pinch hit home runs, and he filled in very well. I think the Red Sox, in terms of the players that they received this year for free agency, Victorino,
Yeah.
Cobb, Napoli, and Jonny Gomes, in the eyes of all of the fans, were generally intermediate or bench players, so to speak. And they played up to their expectations that the Red Sox had of them, but most people didn't think that was going to happen. And they played very well, and I think that's what brought this team to where it was.
Well, no question about it. They were, Mike Cobb was outstanding in the sense that he played first base as well as left field.
Right.
Good hitter. You can put him up as a pinch hitter, and he did a very admirable job. Jonny Gomes, power hitter, more power than most people realized. And he came through in a number of clutch situations.
His batting average was 247, and he hit 52. He had 52 RBIs, but in 13 home runs. But he had a lot of clutch hits.
Yeah, he did.
He had a lot of clutch hits. And Mike Cobb, who came from Seattle, hit 296.
Not bad.
Not bad for a fellow that came in there.
Yeah.
Napoli, they figured for 25 home runs this year, and he hit 23. So
pretty
the
good.
production was what they thought he was going to do. But when he played for Texas, he killed the Red Sox at Fenway.
Seems like every time.
Every time. That's right, Dick.
But one of the key things, Frank, that people overlook is how the quality of his fielding at first base was quite good.
That's a very good point, Dick. I was very concerned about the Red Sox defensively at first base because Napoli was a catcher.
Yep.
And I thought that when Gonzalez left the Red Sox, very good fielder,
Sure.
that you were going to see a lot of errors at first base. But I have to say he played extraordinarily well.
He was really outstanding.
He was outstanding. And, of course, the players we thought would play well, David Ortiz had a wonderful season, another 30 home run season, batting .303 with 103 RBIs. And he missed, I think, 17 or 19 games at the beginning of the year. He played well. There's enough said about Pedroia. We know what kind of player he is. The 301. If you look at the Red Sox, you look at Ortiz, 309, Nava, 303, Dustin Pedroia, 301, Ellsbury, 298. He's a key in this series with Tampa.
Key players, no question about it.
Cobb, 296, and Victorino, 294. So and Saltalamacchia was a surprise to me this year in terms of his hitting ability. He hit 273 last year. He hit 225. He does strike out a lot, but I think he had than he had last year.
I think he came on very strong at the end of the year, and that made a big difference from where he was and how we ended up.
I agree. Also, I think, Dick, you might want to mention or say a few words about the Red Sox pitching this year.
Well, the Red Sox pitching, I didn't know exactly where it was going.
None of us knew.
To start off the year, Even Lester, who was, not last year, but the year before last and before that, he was a pretty strong pitcher, but I didn't know what was going to happen to him. Could he get over the end of last year? And he did. If he stayed strong, I think he finished up with 15 wins, and that was quite good. I think John Lackey really surprised me. I wasn't sure exactly, especially at the beginning of the year, when we saw him leave the game at Yankee Stadium with a problem with his arm.
We said that was it.
I thought he had
Gone.
ripped a tendon.
Right, exactly.
But
Dick.
he came back very strong.
He came back strong. He got a lot of run support as well.
Yes.
I mean, he lost 12 games this year, but he won 10 or 12 too. And but he was a big surprise. We lost Buchholz, who I thought was going to be a good pitcher. He had 9 wins at the end of May, and as you know, he never came back until the middle of September.
Never came back as what we thought he could do.
What he thought he could do. So overall, the pitching and I think other than Lackey, the relief pitching has a little bit of a hole. But we had a closer here in the last half of the season that was lights out.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. He's 38 years old,
Yeah.
and he had an unbelievable season. Tied 37 or 38 batters in a row, which is more than 9 innings. Pretty darn good. And so I think overall, defensively, they played pretty well. I think they are weak at third base. I thought Middlebrooks was going to come back with a pretty good year this year, but it didn't work out that way.
Didn't work out for him, no.
What are they going to do with Middlebrooks? I don't know. I think if they keep Drew, which they said he's only got a 1-year contract, so he's a free agent. Could be some trade bait. I don't know whether he will or not be trade bait. They got Bogarts now, this rookie kid that's come up.
Yeah, in the wings.
In the wings. They got to put him someplace. So I don't know what's going to happen there at third base. But overall, it's a good problem to have.
Well, if you take a look at Middlebrooks has hit 17 or 18 home runs.
Yep.
Napoli hit 23.
Right.
And so, I mean, there's kind of a trade-off in power there. Napoli is a pretty good fielder. Middlebrooks is not bad. You could first base, put Bogarts at third.
I'm thinking of the same thing.
As a possibility.
Right. Napoli is a free agent also.
That's true, yeah.
So Napoli's a free agent. Drew's a free agent. Ellsbury's a free agent. So the Red Sox have to do some thinking about what they want to do here.
Well, I understand at least 2 of those 3 players want to stay here.
Yeah, they want to stay, correct.
So if they do, we can work out something, we could.
It all comes down to money, Dick, as you
Yeah,
well
it
know.
does. No
It all
question.
comes down to money, where it is. Okay, none of us can be disappointed in what's happened. If the Red Sox happen to lose this series to Tampa Bay, I know we'll be disappointed. But overall, I think they gave us a very good season up to this point.
I'm extremely impressed.
They never lost more than 3 consecutive games all year, and that's a key in winning in baseball, is not to get on these long losing streaks.
Sure, that's true.
And Tampa Bay has been on during the year. They've been on winning streaks, but then they lose 6 or 7 in a row. They win 5 or 6, they lose 7 in a row. Tampa Bay was tied with the Red Sox on August 24th of this year. And they ended up 5.5 games behind. But at one point within the last week, there was as many as 9.
Well, I think that West Coast trip hurt them.
Yes, they had a terrible West
Yeah.
Coast trip. And the Red Sox came out of the West Coast with a 6-4.
Not bad.
And not bad. 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, which was pretty good.
That is good.
They won 34 series, meaning they've won 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4. Series played this year, they won 34 of those series,
That's a good sign.
which is 2 out of 3 of every game, basically, and that was a good sign. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to see, hopefully, beginning tomorrow in the playoffs. Tampa Bay. The Red Sox were 12-7 against Tampa Bay this year. We know that half of those wins, as I mentioned to you earlier, half of those wins, half of the 12 wins came either in the 9th inning or later. Tells us that Tampa Bay and the Red Sox played some very tight baseball.
Tight baseball is
Tight baseball all year long. The Red Sox scored a ton of runs this year. They were the number 1 power hitting team in baseball. The St. Louis Cardinals were number 2. And they only outscored Tampa Bay 14 runs over 19 games. So that tells you how close these series were in terms of the 19 games that they played during the regular season.
This competition is going to be pretty good.
It's going to be,
Yeah.
right. I think, Dick, you might want to talk about, and I'll just introduce the subject, is that the Red Sox starting pitching in this series, because I think there is some weakness in the bullpen. You got Tazzaro in the 8th, and you got Koji in the 9th, but you don't have much in between that you really can rely upon. The starters have to go 6-7 innings.
Yeah, they have to go deep.
That's my opinion, that they have to go deep into this series. Also, Lackey is pitching the 2. And this is not a statistic that we all want to see and hear and know about, but Tampa Bay, as a team, hit .304 against Lackey this year.
Wow.
That is, when a team batting average hits 300, that is a lot of hitting. That is a lot of hitting, and he's pitching on Saturday.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, Tampa Bay is a damn good club, you know?
They are.
And so there's an indication, even though Lackey has been quite good this year, you know, somehow or other they have figured out his approach.
He can pitch a very good game. Now, Tampa Bay doesn't scare you with their hitting as much as other teams do, like Detroit would.
Yeah.
So Buckholz is pitching the 3rd game, and Peavy's going in the 4th. This is going to go at least 4, maybe 5. I don't see this as being a sweep,
No.
even though we would hope it happens that way.
Love to have it happen.
Right. So I think the Red Sox pitching has to go deep.
Deep, yeah.
Right. Tampa Bay does have good pitching. There's no question about it. Statistics don't show that because, believe it or not, Kansas City Royals were the top pitching team in baseball this year.
Have they come along, huh?
They came along a long way. They had the best ERA of 3.45. Oakland was 2nd, and we know they're in there. And Detroit was 3rd. Tampa Bay was 5th in pitching in ERA. But they had 17 shutouts this year, Tampa Bay,
Wow.
which is 5 more than Oakland had. And Oakland's got very good pitching. Oakland was number 2 in the American League in pitching. The Red Sox were 6th, right behind Tampa Bay in ERAs, 3.79, which is pretty good pitching on both teams.
Not a good pitcher.
Right. But I think the Red Sox, as you know, in terms of their hitting, took a lot of pitches this year. And they're going to have to wear out the Kansas City pitchers because you know today, Dick, everything is on pitch
Tampa.
count. Yeah, I mean Tampa. Everything is on pitch count.
Yep.
And so if the Red Sox can do what they've done all year long, I think they can wear down some of these pitches. The only pitcher I think has a problem is wearing down would be Price.
The only thing is that Price pitched yesterday or the day before.
He pitched Monday.
And so we may not see him until the game 3 or 4.
No, you're going to see him Saturday.
Oh, Saturday's going to pitch.
You're going to
huh?
see him Saturday.
Wow.
You're going to see him Lackey and Price on Saturday.
Oh, this would be a good one.
Yeah, that would be a good one. And I think you're going to see more tomorrow against Leicester.
Okay.
That's the setup as it sits right now, and I think that's what's going to happen. So we got a tough game. We got
sure
some
do,
tough
yeah.
pitching here. Moore is a good pitcher. So also Red Sox this year, as you saw, used a little speed. Ellsbury had 50-some plus stolen bases. The Red Sox stole a lot of bases this year, 123 stolen bases.
That's pretty good. I think Farrell has made them a more aggressive club.
He has made them a moving club. And so I think that's where we are here. We're still going to have to run, et cetera. I'd like to take a couple of minutes, Dick, and just talk about, position for position, where Tampa Bay is and where the Red Sox
Sure,
are.
let's do that.
Yeah, and I think in the catching department, I think the Red Sox have an advantage because Molina's a good catcher, but he can't hit.
Yeah, he can't run either.
And he can't run, right. You could walk to first base and get him out. I mean, he's the slowest runner in baseball. Yeah, he's almost getting thrown out from a single to left field.
Yeah.
At first base, you got James Looney, who was with the Red Sox and is a pretty good hitter. But you got Napoli there if he can hit his home runs or hit as much as he can, the way he can. Cobb has played first base.
Yep.
You got a left-hander and a right-hander. The Red Sox got a little advantage there. I don't think we have to say too much about second base. I think Pedroia, we know, is Pedroia.
He's
Yeah,
the
and
best.
he is the best. He is the best. Third base, the Rays have the advantage. Their best player is Longoria.
Great fielder, plus a tremendous power hitter.
Yeah, power hitter. He hit 269 this year, which is not big for average.
He had a lot of injuries, though.
He had a lot of injuries, yes. So you got to give the Rays the advantage there at third base. And shortstop, Escobar is a very good defensive, and he's a pretty good hitter. He hit about 260 this year, and Drew hit around 278. So I think they're pretty even at shortstop. Because Drew is a pretty good fielder in his own right.
He's quite good, yeah.
Yeah, so I think they're pretty even at shortstop. In the outfield, I think in left field, there's not some big hitters out there for the Jays. De Jose's is just a mediocre player. Matt Joyce is a mediocre hitter. Kelly Johnson's plays a mediocre hitter. And I think if the Red Sox use Nava out there, who is batting pretty well, I think Nava might be your third outfielder. And then Jonny Gomes played out there. And if we have to, we can use Cobb in the outfield.
Sure.
So I think we have an advantage in left field. In center field, I think the Red Sox have the advantage with Ellsbury there.
Sure.
Not only from his speed and his defense, but I think from his hitting.
Oh, yeah, he is. He's quite good. Although he does have a weak arm, but it's not so weak where he doesn't make it up defensively.
That's correct. He makes it up defensively. Good point about his arm, though. He does have a weak arm. In right field, I think the Rays are a little better in right field. This kid, Will Myers, is a pretty good hitter. And although Victorino's no slouch in the outfield either.
Oh my
He's
God.
good defensively. Even though I might give the Rays a little advantage there, I think they're pretty good. In DH, I think Ortiz is head and shoulders above any DH they're going to throw out there.
Whoever they put up.
Whatever they're going to put out. But in the Red Sox got a better bench because the bench for the Rays is batting around 220. And so they're not that
That
great.
doesn't sound so good.
Doesn't sound so good. So you're looking at this and you say, well, the Red Sox got the advantage in most positions. Where they don't have the advantage is where baseball is in pitching.
Okay, that's the game.
That's the game. Right. They don't have the advantage in starting pitching, and they don't have the advantage in the bullpen. The Koji is their best closer. The closer for the Jays is not having the year before, but I think there's two other guys in there. Peralta is good, and he's good in the eighth inning. He's strong, either left or right. Left-handed McGee is good there, I think, and Alex Torres has been a revelation to them, really. So they got three good pitchers in there, and this guy, Jimmy Wright, is capable, too.
Yeah, he is good.
Yeah, he is good. The Red Sox, really, what do you have there? You got a one-inning pitcher in Tozawa, who's done okay, but he can't pitch more than one inning. Breslow is a mediocre,
Up
what he
and
comes
down.
in, up and down, right. And Koji is the guy that can, if we can get there.
We can't wear the guy out, though.
No, you can't wear the guy out, right. You can't wear him out.
He's going to give us whatever we call him,
Right.
he's going to give it to us. But
Yeah. And the Red Sox have had some difficulty with left-handed pitching. And they got Price coming in on Saturday. You got Matt Moore tomorrow, Friday. And then you're going to have Alex Cobb, who pitched last night against Cleveland. This kid was on the ropes last night on many occasions, but he got him.
Yeah, I've seen him pitch 3 times this year.
Right.
And I've been impressed.
I have too. I think he's a good young pitcher, and he's got some good stuff, and he throws the ball low. But I think the Red Sox will wear down some of these pitches as they have during the regular season.
Well, I hope so. I mean, we've had some, I have to say the hitting has been so impressive to me that I don't see anybody who's coming is going to be a real stopper. Even Price, who was a 6'6", blazing fastball, we've got to him both times this year.
We beat him 2-1 in Tampa.
Yeah.
And we lost to him. We shut us out 3-0. And as I said to you earlier, a statistic to keep in mind, the Red Sox were 12-7 against the Rays this year, but half those wins came in the 9th inning or later. So again, I think this is going to be a very close series.
Sure. It's going to be exciting, though.
It's going to be exciting. So I'm asking you for a prediction.
Well, I'm actually picking the Red Sox. Who would expect me not to do that? But I think they're going to pull off.
I would hope that's 4 games, right? I'm going to say the Red Sox in 5 games, as I think the Red Sox are going to have a tough time against 2 of those 3 pitchers. But they can do it. I mean, they can do it.
They've got the talent.
They get the talent, and if they can continue to, the Gomes and the Napolis and the Cobbs and the Drews can hit consistently. But we got a short series here, so
that's true. But I think these guys have been so motivated during the year. It's not going to end now. They've had off to get their act together.
Right.
And for me, that looks good for them.
It looks good for them. Okay. Now, 2 minutes ago, well, a couple of minutes left. We got a few minutes left. Let's just talk about the rest of the American League. We got another series against 2 good teams, the Oakland A's and the Detroit Tigers.
Wow.
And if the Red Sox beat the Rays, they're going to face one of those 2 teams.
Those guys aren't going to be easy.
No. Oakland is another team with good pitching. Detroit is a team with good pitching. Detroit is a good team with good hitters.
Good hitters.
Detroit has good hitters. So, that'll probably go a 5-game series, too. So the bottom line is that whoever the Red Sox face, if they can win this series with Tampa, are going to face. Detroit's got 3 good starting pitchers in Verlander, Scherzer, and Pfister. And so they're pretty good. They were a little weak in the bullpen, though. So if you can get those guys out of the game in the 6th inning, I think the Red Sox would have a shot against Detroit.
Detroit starting staff has gone deep all year.
Yes, they have. Very deep all year. The Red Sox had a pretty good edge, not a great edge against Detroit, but they played him pretty well. But in a short series, a 7-game series, anything can happen, as we know. And then I think if we can be lucky enough to get through the next series, we're in the World Series. And the National League has got some good teams in there.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
You got the Cardinals and the Pirates.
Yep.
I think the Cardinals will win. They're a strong team, even though the Pirates are a Cinderella team this year.
Yeah, they are.
They are good. And then you got the Dodgers and the Braves.
Both those clubs are tough.
Tough, but I think the Dodgers would prevail there,
Yeah,
too.
they've got some good stuff.
So I think you'd have a playoff in the National League, Cardinals and Dodgers. And let's hope the Red Sox can either face Detroit or Oakland. I would have to say, in the long run, if Detroit can hit, they'll win, because they're a better hitting team than Oakland.
Oh, yeah.
They are a better hitting team
Well,
than
Oakland
Oakland.
has, 4 of their key players came from the Red Sox.
That is correct. So you might want to mention those.
The right fielder was Kalish.
Kalish.
There was a guy.
Right.
I forget who the other 3 guys are.
One was the catcher that was with the Red Sox. He hit 32 home runs this year, and I can't remember his name. But, 4 of them were Red Sox players, though. And I'm just looking at the statistics with Oakland and Detroit, because those are the 2 teams that, one of those 2 teams the Red Sox are going to face. Both teams had good pitching, and both teams had very good hitting. So I think it's a matter of pitching, can the pitchers stop? Most of the time, the answer is yes. Good pitching will stop good hitting.
No question about it, yeah.
And Detroit had a better batting average than the Red Sox in terms of average. They were 283, the Red Sox were 277. And Oakland was 3rd at 254. So Oakland didn't have the bats, but Oakland had the pitching, and that's what prevailed.
Well, a couple of the players, key players like Kalish, he was out injured during the year.
That is correct.
And he came back to hit a power hit. I never realized the guy was a power hitter
Right.
when he was with us.
I didn't either. if you look at Oakland and you look at Detroit, they were 2-3 in terms of pitching in the American League this year.
Well,
Yeah, right behind Kansas City. So 356 and 361 were the ERAs, team ERAs. So Detroit and Oakland had pitching, but Detroit had a better hitting team than Oakland. So if Oakland's pitching can stop, they can.
but the interesting part, I mentioned earlier, was the fact that Oakland and Tampa have very low budgets. And look where they are. And the Red Sox budget this year was low, and look where they are.
Low in comparison to where they were when they let $250 million off the books. When they let Beckett go, they let Gonzalez go, they let Crawford go. Those guys are off the books. That was the best move they made. So let's hope we can see a win against Tampa. But I think it's going to be a tough series for both teams.
Not easy, but a great crowd-pleasing.
Great, right.
Vegas has the Red Sox and the Dodgers in the World Series, so let's hope that is the word.
Well, maybe we should go to Vegas tonight and put our money down on the Red Sox and the Dodgers. So I want to thank everybody. We will be doing another program after the World Series, just to wrap up what we've seen. Hopefully we see the Red Sox in the World Series. And we'll see you sometime right after the World Series. And let's go Red Sox. Thank you, Dick.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you. Thank you.